What's going on, folks? So the band Coronatus are back with a new song here called the Maelstrom. And I'm really excited here. I've been a fan of this band ever since I got their debut album back in like the mid to late 2000s. And yeah, I mean, they have a new album on the way. I think it comes out February 23rd, around that time. And if I'm not mistaken, this has been like their longest gap in a new album since their inception. I think typically it's like 2 to 3 years, roughly. But their previous album released in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So this is almost like a 5 year gap. So I'm really excited to see what they've been up to here. And yeah, given that it's like the wintry, time of year, I recommend, if y'all haven't heard it before, their song called Sleigh Ride to Asgard. It's one of my all-time favorites for this wintry, festive time of year. Great song. I love listening to that at all times, but especially during this part of the year. But anywho, without further ado, let's check out this new song here, the Maelstrom, and see what they've been working on these past like 5 years. Rangers, go. Wow, I love the music in this song big time. I love a lot about this song, a whole lot. But the biggest issue I would say with this song is it's just very very choppy, which I guess makes sense. I mean, if you're in the middle of a maelstrom, the waters are going to be choppy. But I don't know if that was the intention or not. But yeah, it lacks a consistent flow. It just feels very kind of like cobbled together. It's like one of those situations where it feels like they kept getting new ideas and good ideas, because like I pretty much love like every section of this song quite a bit. But it was just a case of like too many ideas crammed into one song to where it just lacked that again, just that consistent flow, and it just every section it just felt like this is almost like a new song, kind of like it all of the transitions were pretty jagged, it wasn't smooth. And so it's like you listen to a section, you're into it, and you're kind of waiting for it to kind of keep going, or kind of evolve into like the next section, but like smoothly, or something. You have that momentum, and you're just wanting it to continue, but then it kind of just cuts and then starts the next section. It's like, oh, so you kind of constantly, it felt like 7 or 8 times throughout this song I was vibing with it, and then it was like, oh, and then I kind of stop, and then the next section kind of starts, and then you kind of start getting into that gradually. It's like, okay, all right, and then you're into that, and then boom, oh, you stop again, and then all right, now I'm kind of gradually assimilating with this next section, and then getting into this next section, okay, and rinse and repeat. Like literally it felt like 7 or 8 times, and it ended up getting to the point, honestly, for me, being a bit frustrating, because again, it's like pretty much every section in this song I really liked, but none of it was ever like really flushed out. Like it was just multiple different ideas kind of stacked into one song with no consistent flow, no kind of even smooth nature of it or anything. It's just section, jagged, jarring cut, next different section, jarring cut, next section. That's just how it felt. It just didn't feel like a fully complete, song where it all just kind of works together. It just felt like you have all these different elements kind of battling each other. It's like this song alone, I feel like you could pick apart the different sections and make like 3 killer songs from it. But with it all in one song, it just doesn't work right, and that's just a huge bummer to me, because again, like I said, I really liked all of the sections a lot, and I was really into all the different sections, but just as one song, it just really, really doesn't work. So in the very beginning, I kind of like how it starts out. Again, I love all the music as well too. And the vocals, they typically have always kind of had like a dual female vocals, which was always kind of neat, kind of set them apart and stuff. And, they've changed over the years and all that good stuff. And, some pairings worked better than others. I liked both of the voices here. They didn't really sing together too much, so it's hard to say how their like synergy works. But, just the individual voices, I like quite a bit. So I love the music in the beginning. I love how like the bass really kind of is thumping, and the guitar is there. And then the only like critique I would say, aside from the what I mentioned before, is in that the very beginning when the vocals first start. First of all, I love some like operatic vocals, and she's got a really nice voice. But like it was so brief before like that chorus happened, it just felt strange. Like it just felt a little bit awkward. So I almost think that the song should have started out vocally with the chorus and save the part before it for later, because later it sounded really nice. It had more room to breathe, with her singing and stuff without it feeling like crammed up against like something that was just different. So it worked really well later. But there in the beginning, I would almost just remove that first kind of like operatic vocal spot and just start with the chorus, because that just kicks with a bang. And that would just, it would kind of avoid that little awkwardness there. But aside from that, it's just really that other thing I mentioned. I love the strings in the song. Like the violin and stuff was just epic. Just so epic. I mean, really, really great. There was a lot of music, I mean, there was a fair amount of like vocals and stuff too, but there was a lot of moments of just music. And it would just always sounded awesome. Like at times more bombastic, at times a bit more somber, but it was always really cool. And the strings really played a big part of that, in my opinion. I also liked a lot of the guitar riffs. Sometimes it's like kind of real heavy. I thought the drum work was really cool. Like in the beginning, you kind of have like drum roll sort of marching kind of beat going. And then, at other times when the guitar riffs are a bit more heavy, a bit more headbanging and stuff, the drums sounded really good and had a real nice impact to it, that just really hit well. The guitar work, the different riffs, the drum work was stellar. The bass, I love how you had the bass kind of shine in certain spots. And then like the symphonic elements and particularly those strings, just all really created wonderful, just musical landscapes that was just really engaging and that I enjoyed a lot. I love that chorus. I really love that chorus. It's awesome. I'm a sucker for that kind of chorus where it's like group vocals and it just feels very almost like chanty and the melody was tight. But, they've always had like a tinge of like folk, with their music as well, which I'm a big fan of. So I just really love that chorus a lot. And then, that individual part later with the lady with the real high operatic, that was just lovely. And I like the other vocals as well. They're a bit lower, a bit more kind of direct, but that worked. But then that's another issue, though, that I found is like those sections were like too short. It's like it was very interesting. Like this song definitely wasn't like a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus kind of thing. It had a odd structure, and that's also just part of, I think, how each section kind of just felt different. But it's like you have some great verses kind of going, great momentum going, and then it would just kind of stop, and then it would kind of shift, and then the music would kind of take over, but like different from how it was during that verse. And it just felt like that flow was lost. Like you just wanted to either keep going the verses or build into the pre-chorus and then kind of hit that chorus. Just having some of that connection there, instead of it just being completely, chopped. It just, I don't know, it's kind of like, like those old games or like Ghosts and Goblins or, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, something like that, where it kind of shows you like the map, like the linear map, like say there's like 8 stages. The first stage is like in the cemetery. The next stage is in like the town that's like on fire. The next stage is like an underground stage. That's almost like how this song was, where you kind of have that first section, which is like the first stage. You complete that, and then, it kind of cuts, and then it's like a completely different stage. Yeah, I mean, if that makes any sense. But so it's like, I like the verses and stuff, and I just think they could have kept going a bit, kept that momentum moving, built a little bit better into like the chorus, and then even like sometimes with the chorus, it would end, and then you'd have a jarring cut, and the music would kind of shift, and anyway, I think I've harped on that enough, but it's just a little bit of a shame. If it could have been streamlined a bit more, there's definitely something that could have been really cool here. I still may, I'll have to listen to it some more, but yeah. So a lot I really liked, all the individual parts and the ideas and stuff, but just together in one song, it just didn't quite work, in my opinion. So, anywho, I'm still really curious for the new album. But yeah, it's like sometimes a little restraint. It's like you have so many cool ideas, but they don't all have to necessarily be in the same song. It's like put one in there, kind of build that idea out instead of like throwing in different ideas into the same pie. If you have a really great idea, I think it works better to kind of build that out, flesh that out into like a full song, take the other ideas and do the same thing for like other songs. But anywho, let me know, folks, in the comments down below, what do you think of this song here? Are you going to check out the new album? Let's talk about it, and I'll catch you next time. Ranger, out.